My sister announced her fourth pregnancy and said, "The kids will move in with you for a few months until I give birth." I refused and walked away. A week later, she left them on my porch and called the cops when I called her crazy. My sister Madison has always been the golden child. 3 years older than me, blonde where I'm brunette, charismatic where I'm reserved, and apparently incapable of accepting the word no in any language. Growing up, she got the bigger bedroom, the newer clothes, and every excuse under the sun when she messed up. I learned early to stay in my lane and keep my head down. Madison got married at 22 to Derek, a guy who worked in sales and had the personality of wet cardboard. They had their first daughter, Emma, a year later. I was 29 and single by choice, having spent my 20s building a career in software engineering and buying my own 3-bedroom house in a quiet suburb outside Portland. Life was good. Peaceful. Mine. Then came the family dinner in early September. Mom had invited me over for Sunday pot roast, which should have been my first warning sign. She only made pot roast when she wanted something. I arrived to find Madison already there, sitting at the dining table with her hand resting on her stomach in that universal I'm pregnant pose that every woman recognizes instantly. "Guess what?" Madison announced before I'd even taken my coat off. "We're having number 4. I'll admit, my first reaction was genuine surprise. Her youngest, Tyler, had just turned 2. Her other kids were Emma at 7 and Lucas at 5. 3 kids under 8 seemed like plenty, but apparently Madison and Derek had different plans. "Congratulations," I said, because what else do you say? I sat down and reached for the bread basket. "There's more," Madison continued, and something in her tone made my stomach clench. "The pregnancy has some complications. My blood pressure is elevated, and my doctor is concerned. She says I might need to be on modified bed rest starting in my second trimester." I buttered my bread and waited. Mom was watching me with an expression I couldn't quite read. "So Derek and I have been talking," Madison said, her voice taking on that sweet, reasonable tone that I'd learned to distrust over 33 years of sisterhood. "The kids will move in with you for a few months until I give birth. Isn't that perfect? You have all that extra space, and they'd love spending time with their Aunt Jessica." The butter knife clattered against my plate. "Excuse me?" "It's the perfect solution," Madison pressed on, as if I hadn't spoken. "You work from home most days, so you'd be there for them. Emma's in 2nd grade, so you just need to handle drop-off and pick up at Lincoln Elementary. Lucas goes to the same school for kindergarten, and Tyler can go to that little Sprouts daycare near your house." My brain struggled to process what I was hearing. "You want me to take your 3 children for months?" "Just until the baby comes. Probably around 4 months, maybe 5. "Madison, I work 60 hours a week. I have project deadlines and client meetings. You work from home," she interrupted, as if that solved everything. "You can do your computer stuff while they play. Kids basically entertain themselves at those ages." Anyone who has spent more than 5 minutes with actual children knows this is a spectacular lie. "I'm not doing this," I said flatly. "You need to hire help or ask Derek's mother." "Derek's mother is 74 and has arthritis," Madison cut in. "And childcare for 3 kids costs a fortune. Your family. This is what family does." I looked at my mother, waiting for her to intervene, to point out the absolute insanity of what Madison was proposing. Instead, Mom gave me a pleading look. "Jessica, honey, your sister really needs help. You do have the space." "No." I stood up, grabbed my purse, and headed for the door. "This is not happening. Figure out another solution." Madison's voice followed me out. "You're being incredibly selfish right now." I didn't respond. I got in my car and drove home, my hands gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles went white. The following Saturday morning, I was in my home office finishing a presentation for a Monday client meeting. I'd been up since 6, was on my 3rd coffee, and was deep in concentration when my doorbell rang. Then rang again. Then someone started pounding on the door. I pulled off my headphones and went downstairs, annoyed at the interruption. Through the front window, I could see Madison's SUV in my driveway, back doors open. My stomach dropped. I opened the door to find Emma, Lucas, and Tyler standing on my porch surrounded by suitcases, backpacks, and what appeared to be several trash bags stuffed with belongings. Emma looked confused. Lucas was crying. Tyler was sitting on a suitcase eating a Pop-Tart. Madison was already backing down the driveway. It was mid-September, a crisp Saturday morning, and my entire life was about to implode. "What are you doing?" I shouted, running down my front steps. Madison rolled down her window. "I told you, I need help. The kids are here for a few months. Their school paperwork is in Emma's backpack. Tyler's daycare takes drop-ins. Madison, get back here right now. I have a doctor's appointment. We'll talk later." She was pulling into the street. "You can't just leave them here. Madison." I was screaming now, probably giving my neighbors quite a show. "This is abandonment. I'll call the police." She drove away. Actually drove away and left her children standing on my porch. Lucas was full-on sobbing now. Emma was trying to comfort him while looking terrified. Tyler had finished his Pop-Tart and was asking for juice. I stood in my driveway, wearing sweatpants and an old college t-shirt, watching my sister's car disappear around the corner. This could not be happening. I called Madison immediately. Voicemail. Called Derek. Voicemail. Called my mother. She picked up on the fourth ring. Mom, Madison just abandoned her kids on my porch. Oh good, she dropped them off. Jessica, I know you're upset, but just help her out for a little while. It's not that hard to. Not that hard? Mom, she literally dumped 3 children on my doorstep and drove away. I have work. I have a life. I never agreed to any of this. You're being dramatic. Just watch them for a few months. You'll be fine. I hung up. My hands were shaking with rage. Tyler wandered over to me. I need to go potty. What was I supposed to do? The kids were here, confused and upset, through no fault of their own. I couldn't exactly leave them on the porch. I herded them inside, showed Tyler the bathroom, and tried to figure out my next move while Emma and Lucas sat stiffly on my couch looking like they'd been dropped off at a stranger's house. Which, essentially, they had been. I wasn't some beloved aunt who saw them regularly. Madison lived 40 minutes away and visited maybe twice a year, usually for major holidays. I called the police non-emergency line. I need to report child abandonment, I said, my voice surprisingly steady. The dispatcher asked for details. I explained the situation. She said an officer would come by within the hour. Don't let the children overhear this conversation, she advised. They're already going through enough. I went into the kitchen to wait, watching Emma try to interest Lucas in the toys Madison had apparently packed. Tyler had found my remote and was pressing buttons randomly. Officer Patricia Chen arrived 30 minutes later. She was in her 40s, kind-eyed, and took extensive notes as I explained what happened. Emma watched from the couch, her eyes huge. Your sister left them here without your consent? Officer Chen confirmed. Completely without my consent. I explicitly refused to take them. Multiple times. Officer Chen nodded slowly. I need to make some calls. Do you have a safe place for the children to play while we sort this? I set them up in my living room with the TV and some snacks I dug out of my pantry. Graham crackers and apple slices. Tyler seemed thrilled. Emma kept glancing toward the door. Officer Chen stepped outside to make calls. When she came back in, her expression was grim. I spoke with your sister. She claims you agreed to take the children and are now refusing to honor that agreement. She said you're having some kind of mental health crisis and called the authorities on her out of spite. My jaw dropped. That is completely false. She also said she's considering filing a report against you for making false claims to police and for potentially putting her children at risk by trying to force her to take them back when she's on medical orders for bed rest. The rage that went through me was white-hot and blinding. Madison had turned this around on me. Painted herself as the victim and me as unstable. That is a lie, I said, forcing each word out clearly. I have text messages. I have witnesses who were at the family dinner when she first proposed this and I refused. Officer Chen's expression softened slightly. I believe you. Unfortunately, this is a civil matter, not criminal. Technically, the children are with family who didn't consent. And they're not in immediate danger. Child Protective Services won't get involved unless there's abuse or neglect. What we have here is a family dispute. She paused. Here's what I can tell you. If you refuse to keep the children, we'll have to contact CPS to place them in emergency foster care until we reach your sister. That process can be traumatic for kids. I looked at Emma, who was pretending not to listen but clearly hearing every word. She was 7 years old. This wasn't her fault. How long would that take? Could be hours. Could be longer. We'd have to locate your sister, and if she's not answering calls. Officer Chen shrugged. I'm sorry. This is a terrible situation. My advice is to keep the children here tonight, contact a family attorney on Monday, and file for emergency custody or force your sister to take them back through the courts. After Officer Chen left, I sat on my kitchen floor and cried. Then I pulled myself together because 3 confused children were in my living room and they needed dinner. I ordered pizza. I set up Emma and Lucas in my guest room with the twin beds I bought years ago for when friends visited. Tyler got a nest of blankets on my bedroom floor because he was 2 and I wasn't letting him out of my sight. I called my best friend Rachel and explained everything while locked in my bathroom. She's lost her mind, Rachel said. Absolute insanity. What do I do? Exactly what the cop said. Get a lawyer Monday. Document everything. And Jessica? Don't let your family guilt trip you. This is not normal or okay. That night, I barely slept. Tyler woke up crying 3 times. Emma wet the bed, which led to her sobbing in shame while I assured her it was fine and threw sheets in the washer at 2 in the morning. Sunday morning came too soon. I managed to feed everyone cereal and turn on cartoons before I started making calls. First, I texted Madison, you have 24 hours to pick up your children or I'm pursuing legal action. No response. Then I called every family lawyer in Portland until I found one willing to see me first thing Monday morning. Jennifer Walsh sounded